Hello Dragons, Scott Nichols here from the Peterborough Fencing Club. I'm coming in front of you today asking for $10,000 for 100% pride in expanding and rebranding of the armband program. To start, what is the Can Fence armband program? To date, we have 5 developmental handbooks that are targeted for youth 8 and up. It includes going through the process of initiation through to consolidation. That's fundamentals to train. So far, with these 5 books, there's about 140 pages of content. It has been peer reviewed, and we've had a technical writer edit the entire program. It includes quality photography, and it has been thoroughly scrutinized with over 500 armband tests to date. So we know it's been a very successful program. At the base of it, long-term athlete development supports the entire process. And through this program, there are 4 primary pillars for each of the levels that an athlete goes through. Similar to a martial arts system, where one starts at white, moves to yellow, orange, green, blue, etc. So each of these pillars is included in each level. The first thing is an experiential measure. Basically, it's a general guideline for how long it will take. You'll notice that from white to yellow, it takes about 40 hours of training. Yellow to orange, the content doubles and the time doubles. And each time one goes up in a level, the time is increased. The whole idea is based on the 10,000 hour rule. There's about 3 places in our national literature from the Canadian Fencing Federation where that 10,000 hour rule is discussed. Who knows how true that is once someone has gone through the entirety of the program, but we're making assumptions that there's some truth to that. The next part is the technical matrix. So this is the technical skills. You see here at white, an athlete is initiated with their Group 1 skills. It includes actions, so things they do with their weapon, and motion, things that they do with their body. Once they move up a level, for yellow, they have to prove that they've acquired their Group 1 skills. Group 2 skills are initiated. Moving up to the next level, which is orange, they have to continue the acquisition for the Group 1 and Group 2 skills, and Group 3 skills are initiated. That theme carries on through the workbooks. So here at green, they have to prove consolidation of the Group 1 skills. Group 2 and 3 skills are acquired, and Group 4 skills are initiated. And it continues. This has been a really handy tool for coaches, for the athletes, and stakeholders as well, as it's a formative report card. The tactical component. Of course, technical is what you do, tactics is how you apply it. The interesting thing about tactics is if you ask 10 coaches what makes good tactics, you're going to get 20 different answers. That said, this is a general tool for athletes with support with their coaches to explore. The third part is knowledge. We put a lot of emphasis on the knowledge, from knowing the language of fencing, knowing the tactics, understanding refereeing, understanding the rules. And the whole idea is we want to make complete athletes, not just good competitors. What we need to expand. There's been an interesting theme through the Dragon's Den presentations that we need to get kids into sport earlier and have a better start. So the first program that we're going to be doing is doing a workbook that includes things for kids starting from age 6 and going up to approximately 9. So we're going to be using foam weapons and plastic armor. There's going to be a bit of a token economy that goes along with that. That token economy is going to keep kids really engaged. And within the program, we're going to hide fundamental movements, things such as throwing, catching, striking, trapping, etc. We're also going to be heavy on social skills. Very clear that everyone needs to play. We're going to focus on fair play, team play, individual play, leadership, following, speaking, listening, and problem solving. The first expense that we're going to put that we're asking for is $1,500 so we can hire a graphic artist. The graphic artist is going to be doing a cartoon style book that's going to be very appealing to children. Before we get into the next part of the expense, there was a really interesting question, and that is, what does winning look like? When On the Podium gave a presentation and they put that forward, we really explored that. We really talked an awful lot about what winning looks like. So we end up watching hours and hours and hours of top fencing. And of course, we're trying to label very, very globally what winning looks like. And then we try to tie that with the education that I've received so far through the CSIO. A few things became very apparent, that while we have our 4 pillars, there's things that we need to make improvements in the existing handbook. Things we don't address nutrition, we don't address sleep, things like concussion awareness. Journaling is something that many athletes are asked to do later, but we're going to be asking them to do that sooner. And then, of course, understanding athletic abilities and how they impact your pathways. Tracking of tournaments, and of course tournament participation, making sure that early on they understand the pathway if they want to move into high performance. And mental abilities, of course, is there as well. The refinement handbooks. Going through the idea of what winning looks like, we came up with new key performance indicators, and that is going to be built right into the refinement handbooks. So the 3 refinement handbooks are going to be purple, red, and brown. The KPIs that we're looking at are equipment, mental, continued tactics, technical, physical, piece control, speed. We very specifically put speed separate from physical because speed is such a dominant factor in our sport that we wanted to track that a little bit differently. Weapon manipulation is another part, and this is an interesting thing as far as being able to track and measure. And then the other is referee decisions. And because foil is a weapon of priority or a weapon of convention, there's a lot of judging that goes along with that. And we're going to have that built into the book so the athletes have a better idea on how to understand what the referees want. So this is one example of how we're going to have measurables through the refinement handbooks. So using the OODA loop, we wanted to measure half steps per minute. So what we observed when we're watching some of the best fencing in the world is an athlete from Japan, Yuki Oda. We watched his videos and we ended up counting his half steps. Now a half step is 1 foot moving in any direction. So if the front foot moves, that's a half step. The back foot moves, that's a second step. And then what we found is Yuki Oda had a sustained 255 half steps per minute. So we realized that this is one way that we can really measure foot speed. We decided to design a test that we can measure our own athletes. So we had a very detailed test that is athletic focused, but also ties in some very fencing related efforts. Then we're going to gather results to give us some information on how to have targets for athletes. So the first thing we're doing is we put an agility ladder on the ground. We have an athlete that will do a particular pattern. So they start on one side, they make a shuffle to the other side and back again. So this is a side shuffle, also known as the Icky shuffle. They continue this until they get to the end of the piece. They step off the piece, put their foot behind a mark that's on the floor, and then they're asked to lunge a particular distance. The distance is individual for each athlete. The distance that they have to lunge is measured basically from the ground to the top of their hip times 1.5. So that gives an athlete a challenge where they're expected to explode to make that successful lunge. And then from there, they recover and continue the pattern. One thing that we found interesting, and we're going to be altering the test, is we noticed when we were going over video that this athlete, the positioning of the lead knee, there's a lot of I don't like the angle on this. So we've actually altered the test somewhat. So they have to place their right foot in front of the line before they plant their back, so they're not going to have potential injuries. So I'm going to show you the video for that. It's about 50 seconds.
Go.
So that's what we call the Yuki test. We've also done some research on other systems. The link above, the force evaluation. This is a military fitness test for entry into the military. We found that one of the best athletes, who was an inexperienced fencer, actually had one of the highest half steps per minute in our club. And when we discussed, his fitness process, he ended up sharing this with us. So we're putting that up there for you to look at. But that's been used as a really simple way of putting tests together that doesn't take a lot of technology and can be done through some very simple observation. So there's some things we don't know. We're not sure on how to measure weapon manipulation. We know it's a very important thing. I do that all the time, giving feedback to athletes on what they can do with their weapon for more success. But we don't have something that we can measure in absolutes. The other thing that we're unsure of is, we have a strength and conditioning coach, and I'm a technical expert. What we're not really sure about is return on investment for athletics that's specific for fencing. And because our sport also doesn't have a gold medal profile, I need to have a look at some comparable gold medal profiles. So this is where the next expenditure comes in. We've budgeted $3,000 to work with the CSIO with the biomechanics and performance analysis. There they have motion capture technology, force plates, and other scientific measuring tools. They also have an expertise and experience that really is very difficult to find. So the cost breakdown is quite simple. What we're producing is 4 books. One is for the buffer program for the 6 to 9 year olds. Then 3 books that focus specifically on refinement. That's the purple handbook, red handbook, and brown handbook. The graphic artists for some of the editing and the cartooning, we're looking for a budget of $3,000 for all of that. Photography, and we know that this is very accurate simply because we've hired a photographer for the first 5 books, and we're budgeting $1,500 for that. The technical writer, someone that's going to go in and edit with an expertise like I've never seen before. The technical writer, the budget for that is about $2,000. We're also leaving $3,000 for the CSIO, so we can travel with various athletes and take advantage of their expertise and hopefully reproduce at our own club and other clubs that are interested in what we're offering. Incidentals that we're looking at is approximately $500, and that gives us a grand total of $10,000. So Dragons, thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank Thank you very much.